Hello students, today we are going to start our second chapter from the NCERT, and that is the biological classification. In the previous lecture we have completed our very small topic, that is the living world, and with this lecture I am going to send you the PDF in the form of the MCQ. There will be 90 MCQ I will send to you. You have to solve it, and immediately I will give you in the next lecture the answer key of the same question. So our subject do not include any numericals. There are only theoretical questions are there, and that questions I am going to send you with this lecture. So please, every student should check that questions, solve that questions, and in the next lecture you will get the answer key for that MCQ. Okay, so the second chapter that we are now studying is the biological classification. See here, this is a big or large topic as compared to the living world topic, so it cannot be completed in few lectures. Here it is very important because this topic required some tricks, and by these tricks we are going to study this biological classification topic. Okay, so first I will start this topic, that is from the Aristotle. So this Aristotle was the first scientist. Aristotle was the first scientist who first gave the scientific basis of classification, who first described the classification of the living organism, and according to him he first took the morphological character into consideration. That means Aristotle took morphological characters. That means according to the morphological character. Then what is meant by morphological character? As we have seen that the external characters of any organism, we call it as a morphological character. So Aristotle, by considering the morphological characteristics of these plants, he classified the plants into three categories, and those categories of the plants are the herb, shrub, and trees. According to the morphological characteristics, Aristotle classified these plants into herb, shrub, and the trees. As we know, herbs are very small one. Okay, the coriander or any vegetable that we eat in our home are in the herb. That means the methi or other vegetables we include in the herb. Shrub in Marathi we call it as a zulub, and bigger than the herb, and that is the shrub. And the trees means the large one, that plants are called as tree. So this classification of the plant first made by Aristotle according to the morphological characteristics of the plant. He not only classified the plant but also he classified the animals, and these animals he classified into two types. So first he classified the plants into herb, shrub, and the trees, as well as he classifies the animals into two types. That means some animal with red blood cell and some other animals without red blood cell. So animal with RBC and animal without RBC. That means he noticed that some animals are there which have the RBC. What is meant by RBC? Red blood cells. And he also found that there are some animals which do not have the red blood cells, which do not have the RBC. So he called some animal with RBC and the other animals without RBC. So it is the classification who carried out this. The name of that scientist is the Aristotle. Okay. So you should know that is Aristotle take into consideration the morphological characteristics of plant, and that's why he classify plant into herb, shrub, and tree, as well as he classified animal into some animal with RBC and some animal without RBC. Next to the Aristotle, next to the Aristotle, another scientist is there, and the name of that scientist is the Linnaeus. Second scientist is there, the name is Linnaeus. This Linnaeus scientist classified the whole living organisms into two kingdoms. Linnaeus classified the whole living organism into two kingdoms, and which are these two kingdoms? Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia. So Linnaeus gives two kingdom system of classification. According to this, these two kingdoms are Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia. Okay, so see here, next to Aristotle, Linnaeus is there, and you are well known about this scientist Linnaeus, because in first topic we have seen that the Linnaeus is the great scientist who has contribution in the systematic, who has contribution in the taxonomy, as well as he has given the binomial nomenclature. So Linnaeus is a well-known person, he is well-known scientist, and he at that time first classified the living organisms into the two kingdoms, and those kingdoms are the Kingdom Plantae and Kingdom Animalia. But there are some drawbacks of this Linnaeus system of classification, or of this two kingdom system of classification, because there are a number of exceptions different scientists found in this two kingdom system of classification. So with this Linnaeus two kingdom system of classification, we have to also study the drawbacks of this Linnaeus. Which are the drawbacks that we are going to study? But see here, if the question is asked for the MCQ, for the need point of view, that is who proposed the two kingdom system of classification, then the answer of that question goes to the scientist Linnaeus. Second question is that who classify the plants according to the morphological characters into herb, shrub and tree? Then the answer of that question is the Aristotle. Or animals with RBC and without RBC, if question is asked on the animals, then answer is the same, that the Aristotle. So at the first lecture I have told you that for the biology, line to line reading is very, very important. This topic is also important for the NEET point of view. Generally there will be 3 to 4 questions are asked for the NEET exam from this topic. So from the first to last, I will slowly explain you. At the same time, I will give you the different tricks to memorize these examples of the biological classification. So here we have completed the two kingdom system of classification, and now we are going to study the drawbacks of this Linnaeus two kingdom system of classification. So next point is the drawbacks of Linnaeus classification. Drawbacks of Linnaeus classification. Which are these drawbacks? First one, this classification of the Linnaeus do not include prokaryotes and eukaryotes. So first is, it do not include prokaryotes and eukaryotes. I will write first the drawbacks. Second one, it do not include unicellular and organisms. Third one is that it do not include all the organisms. See here, it do not include all the organisms. It do not include photosynthetic, that is the green plants, and non-photosynthetic, that means for example fungi. See here, these are the 4 drawbacks of the Linnaeus classification system. These 4 drawbacks, that means first one, the 2 kingdom system, that is the kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia, do not focus on the prokaryotic and the eukaryotic. That means he did not explain that which organisms are included in prokaryotics or which organisms are included in eukaryotic, because in the first lecture I have told you that about prokaryotic and the eukaryotic. Prokaryotic are the primitive organism while the eukaryotic are the well developed organism. Prokaryotic organism include mainly bacteria and the eukaryotic organism mainly include the plants and animal. He only says that living organisms are classified into kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia, but he did not explain any animal or any organism whether it is prokaryotic or the eukaryotic. So it is the first drawback. Second one, it also did not explain the unicellular organism and multicellular organism. As we know, if the organism's body is made up of the single cell, we call it as a unicellular organism. If body of the organism is made up of many cells, we call it as a multicellular organism. Such a type of the distinguishing character he did not explain in his 2 kingdom system of classification. He do not mention there, that is which organisms are unicellular and which organisms are the multicellular. Next point is that here is 2 kingdom of system of classification, not almost all organisms are included, because there are some exceptions, and which include the number of other organisms which do not come in the kingdom Plantae as well as in kingdom Animalia. Other than kingdom Plantae or other than kingdom Animalia, there are number of organisms are there which was not included in his 2 system of classification or 2 kingdom system of classification. So this is third drawback of this classification. And the fourth drawback is that it do not include the photosynthetic, that means generally green plant, and non-photosynthetic means generally fungi, or animals are also non-photosynthetic. One example is given, that is the fungi. That means he in his classification system, that is the 2 kingdom system of classification, do not include that kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia, these 2 kingdoms he explained, but he do not or did not mention that which organisms are photosynthetic, that means they can carry out their own food synthesis, and other that cannot prepare their own food, that we call as a non-photosynthetic. So this one is very important, that is the drawbacks of the Linnaeus 2 kingdom system of classification. For theory point of view, one question may be asked that what is the 2 kingdom system of classification and give their drawbacks. 2 kingdom system of classification means the scientist Linnaeus divided all organisms into kingdom Plantae and kingdom Animalia. It is called as the 2 kingdom system of classification. But this kingdom system of classification has some drawbacks, and that drawbacks we have discussed here. So this question is very important, that is what is meant by the 2 kingdom system of classification and their drawbacks. Now we will see the third scientist whose name is Whittaker, and this R.H. Whittaker has given us the 5 kingdom system of classification. So the next scientist that we are going to study is the scientist R.H. Whittaker. So next scientist whose name is R.H. Whittaker. This R.H. Whittaker gives us the five kingdom system of classification. Five kingdom system of classification. So this five kingdom is an important word. And which are those five kingdoms who introduced to us by the scientist Whittaker? And those kingdoms are kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. Okay, these are the five kingdoms: kingdom Monera, kingdom Protista, kingdom Fungi, kingdom Plantae, and kingdom Animalia. These are the five kingdoms which was given by scientist Whittaker. Then on which basis this scientist Whittaker classified these five kingdoms? That we have to see. That is the criteria for classification of the five kingdom system of classification. But everybody should know that which are those five kingdom: kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. There is no sequence, but how they are classified? Monera are very primitive one. Next to Monera developed are Protista. Next to Protista, fungi are developed. Next to fungi, plants are there, and next to plants, animals are there. So they are arranged according to their complexity in their structure. Okay. So primitive are at the first and well developed are at the last. So Monera, Protista, fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. These are the four kingdoms, and these was five kingdoms. These are the five kingdoms, and this five kingdom system was proposed by scientist Whittaker. Now we have to see according to which criteria he classified these five kingdoms, and these criteria are now we are going to study. That is the criteria for Whittaker classification. So next point is criteria for Whittaker classification. Which is this criteria? So he used the criteria, and those are included here. That is, first one is cell structure. Second one is thallus organization. Third one is mode of nutrition. Fourth one is reproduction. And fifth one is phylogenetic relationship. See here, these are very important one. That is, which criteria is used by scientist Whittaker for his classification. And here you are observing those points that I have written on the board. Those are, first one is the cell structure. Then according to the cell structure, that means we have already seen that the cells are of two types, prokaryotic and the eukaryotic. So this criteria first he took into consideration, and according to cell structure he divided all organisms into the 5 kingdom. Second one, thallus organization. Thallus means body. In the primitive organisms, for example in algae, bryophyta, pteridophyta, there the body is not well developed, so it is called as a thallus. According to their body, here one simple meaning you say that thallus means the body. According to their body organization, they are classified into the 5 kingdom. That means they are unicellular, or we may here say that they are multicellular. These criteria are taken into consideration, that is called as a thallus organization. How their body is made up of, whether of the single cell or of the many cell. Then mode of nutrition. Mode of nutrition means every organism are not autotrophic. That means they cannot prepare their own food. There are some organisms that we call as a autotrophic, because they can prepare their own food. For example, majority of the plants are the autotrophic, but there are number of the such organisms which cannot prepare their own food, that we call as a heterotrophic. So mode of nutrition means that how that organism take its nutrition, take its feed, or they take its food. That is the method of nutrition. Nutrition means simple the food. So some are the autotrophic, some are the heterotrophic, some are the parasitic, some are the saprophytic. Saprophytic means which lives on dead and decaying matter. So by different these methods they can obtain their food. So all these criteria of mode of nutrition is taken into consideration by the scientist Whittaker. The next point is the reproduction. See here, reproduction is a method which we have well studied in the characteristics of the living organism, and by this method you are well known that it is an important characteristics of the living organism. But not all organisms reproduce by the same method. That means there are very primitive organisms, there are well developed organisms, and in between this primitive and well developed organism there are some other few organisms which shows the middle characteristics of the well developed and the primitive organism. So reproduction is not same in all organisms. Some organisms shows a reproduction that is called as the asexual reproduction. Some organisms show the reproduction that is called as the sexual reproduction. In plant you will find that reproduction also takes place by root, stem and leaves, that is also called as the vegetative reproduction. That means all these criteria, by taking into consideration, Whittaker proposed these 5 kingdoms, that is Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. And last one is called as phylogenetic relationship. Here the 5th point is phylogenetic relationship. That means the every organism is evolved from the previous organism, and for example human being that is developed from the monkey, ape. So there is a very close relationship between the human being and the ape, and that's why we say that there is an evolutionary or the phylogenetic relationship between the human being and the ape. Such a type of relationship we can observe also in the other living organism, and that criteria Whittaker took into his consideration, and he shows that every living organism has some resemblance or close similarity with the other organism, and that he called as a phylogenetic relationship. So all these points he has taken into consideration for classifying the 5 kingdoms, and those kingdoms are Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. All of you are well known about these 5 points. See again which points we have covered in the criteria for Whittaker's classification. Okay, these are cell structure, thallus organization, mode of nutrition, reproduction and phylogenetic relationship. Now we will see the table which is given in our NCERT for this 5 kingdom system of classification. Here there is a table which explains the 5 kingdom system of the classification. Okay, here we have given this table, and see here how many columns are there. First one is a character, and in that cell type, cell wall, nuclear membrane and body organization, these 4 characters are included. then kingdom Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia. Okay, this table is very important because for NEET point of view, whole table is given and there are some space or the fill in the blanks are there and we have to fill in the blanks. That means every students we are going to face the NEET exam should know this table very well, and by studying number of times we can easily understand this table which explain the five kingdom system of the classification. Now here we'll see that the character first, that is the cell type, is given, and we have seen that there are five kingdoms. So Monera only kingdom has the prokaryotic cell, and other than Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae and Animalia, these four kingdom has the eukaryotic type of the cell. So you should know that only the Monera has the prokaryotic cell, but from the Protista to the Animalia all have the eukaryotic type of the cell. This is the one point. Second, cell wall. As we know that in number of the organism, if you say the structure of the cell, you will find that the outer membrane of that cell is the cell wall, and inner to cell wall there is a plasma membrane or the cell membrane. But you should know the composition of this cell wall. But in some organism, this cell wall is absent. That's why the second point is the cell wall. And if you see the structure of the cell wall, then you will find that this cell wall in the Monera is non-cellulosic, means in majority of the organism including the plant, the cell wall is made up of the cellulose. Cellulose is a type of the carbohydrate. But here they say that the cell wall of the Monera, and which are the example of Monera? Monera include the bacteria. Monera include the bacteria. So while studying this Monera, you should keep in mind the example of the bacteria. In the bacterial cell wall, you will find that the cell wall is present, which is the outermost covering, but that cell wall is a non-cellulosic, means it is not made up of the cellulose. But instead of that, the cell wall of the bacteria or cell wall of the Monera is made up of polysaccharide and amino acid. Polysaccharide is again an example of the carbohydrate, and amino acids which we call as a building blocks of the protein. So the question will be asked for the NEET exam that the cell wall of the Monera, or they will make you the example of the bacteria, that is the bacterial cell wall is made up of, then you should know it is made up of the non-cellulosic part. It is not made up of the cellulose, so it is called as a non-cellulosic, but it is made up of the amino acid and the polysaccharide. The next kingdom is the Protista, which examples will be we will discuss later on in the Protista. For example, amoeba, paramecium, euglena, diatoms. All these examples are included in this Protista kingdom. So in this Protista, cell wall is not found in all Protista kingdom. That means it includes number of organisms, this Protista kingdom, but cell wall you will not find in all organisms. Only few organisms has a cell wall. So here given as that cell wall is present in the some Protista and not all Protista. So you have to keep in mind only that in not all Protista cell wall is present. Then third is fungi. Fungi, you are well known about the examples of fungi. Yeast is the fungi, mucor is the fungi, mushroom is the fungi, penicillium is the fungi. There are a number of examples that we are going to study detail in the same topic. But here the fungi which has the cell wall, but here also like the Monera, the cell wall of the fungi is not made up of the cellulose. Instead of that, it is made up of the chitin. It is made up of the chitin. So chitin is also the type of carbohydrate, and cell wall of the fungi is made up of the chitin. It is not made up of the cellulose. Next kingdom is the Plantae. Here the cell wall of the plants is definitely made up of the cellulose, which is an example of the carbohydrate. So it is written as the cellulosic. But in animal, if you study the cell of the animal, you will find that in the animalia there will be cell wall absent, and that's why we have written here the cell wall is absent. Okay, so 2 point we have considered. If we study the cell type, then it is very easy to understand that in only the Monera prokaryotic cells are present, while the next four kingdoms having the eukaryotic cell. If we take the character cell wall, then you will find that this cell wall is totally absent in the animal, and few protista also do not have the cell wall. But in which organism cell wall present, or in which kingdom cell wall present? Cell wall present in the Monera, cell wall present in the fungi, cell wall present in the plantae. So you have to study like this, that cell wall is absent in animal, cell wall is absent in some protista, but it is present in Monera, fungi and plantae. So what is the composition of that cell wall in Monera? It is not made up of cellulose, so it is non-cellulosic, so it is made up of polysaccharide and amino acid. What is the composition of the cell wall in fungi? It is not again made up of cellulose, but it is made up of chitin. And what is the composition of the cell wall in plant? In plant, that cell wall is made up of purely cellulose material, and this cellulose is nothing but the carbohydrate. So it is very important that question may be asked on the cell wall like that, what is the chemical composition of the cell wall of the Monera, or what is the chemical composition of the cell wall of the fungi. So it is the second point which explains the cell wall. Then the third point is there, and that is called as the nuclear membrane. Nuclear membrane means you have well known about the structure of the cell, and as you know, the cell has the nucleus in animal at the center, while in the plant this nucleus is present just away from the center. And in eukaryotic cell, this nucleus have one membrane that is called as a nuclear membrane. In prokaryotic cell, nuclear membrane is absent. So this nuclear membrane, which is covering or boundary of the nucleus, or nucleus is surrounded by a membrane that we call as a nuclear membrane. See, if we draw the diagram here, this is the nucleus, and around this nucleus you will find this type of the structure, and that is called as the nuclear membrane. So as we know, Monera include the example of the bacteria, and you know the bacteria are very primitive one because they have the prokaryotic cell, and in the prokaryotic cell nucleus is not developed, so nuclear membrane is absent in the prokaryotic. But in all the other protista, fungi, plantae and animalia, there are eukaryotic cells, so automatically nucleus is well developed. That's why from the protista up to the animalia, nuclear membrane is present, because in the upper side we have written that they have the eukaryotic cells. So nuclear membrane is present in protista, fungi, plantae and the animalia. The last part is the body organization. That means how they obtain their food by different methods. Okay, that is the mode of nutrition. See here, what is there? If we see the kingdom Monera, then you will find that they are autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. What is mean by autotrophic? As we know, autotrophic, auto means self. They can prepare their own food. That's why we call it as a autotrophic. Okay, and the organism which cannot prepare their food, that we call as a heterotrophic. So these are the autotrophic and these are the heterotrophic. So in the kingdom Monera, most of the Monera are autotrophic, can prepare their own food, and autotrophic methods are again of two types, chemosynthetic and the photosynthetic. Due to the inavailability of the large space, I have written in short chemo and photo. Chemo means chemosynthetic and photo means photosynthetic. So Monera include the organism, mainly bacteria and some other primitive organism. They can prepare their own food by the help of two methods, that is with the help of sunlight, we call as a photosynthetic, and with the help of some using chemical molecules, we call it as a chemosynthetic. So chemosynthetic and the photosynthetic are the two types of the autotrophic mode of nutrition. By this chemosynthetic means with the help of chemical, and by the photosynthetic means with the help of light, they can prepare their own food. Next type is the heterotrophic. Heterotrophic means they depend on the other organism for their food, and here there is again short word is written as sapro means saprophytic and para means parasitic. Means some organisms are included in Monera which depends on dead and decaying matter, म्हणजे कुजलेल्या अन्नपदार्थावर जगणारे त्याला म्हणायचं सॅप्रोफायटिक, आणि दुसऱ्याच्या बॉडीवर किंवा बॉडीमध्ये राहणारे म्हणजे पॅरासायटिक. सो सॅप्रोफायटिक अँड पॅरासायटिक आर द मेथड्स इन्क्लुडेड इन हेटरोट्रॉफ्स, अँड chemosynthetic and photosynthetic are included in the autotrophs. So it is very important because number of times the question is asked that where the major nutritional diversity is found in which kingdom. So if we see, compare all the kingdom, then you will find that this kingdom Monera has major metabolic diversity because they are autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. In autotrophic again chemosynthetic, photosynthetic. In heterotrophic again sapro and parasitic. Such a type of large metabolic diversity you cannot observe in all these four kingdoms. So the answer of major or large number of metabolic diversity is found in this kingdom Monera. Then next kingdom is the Protista. Next kingdom is the Protista. What happened here? Protista kingdom, as we mentioned the example, amoeba, paramoecium, euglena, diatoms, all these organisms are of the Protista. They are also autotrophic and heterotrophic, but like the Monera, autotrophic mode includes only the photosynthetic, not like the Monera chemosynthetic. Okay, so autotrophic are there means some organism can prepare their own food, but they prepare food by using of light, and that's why they are called as a photosynthetic. Okay, but here you will not find the chemosynthetic mode of nutrition like the Monera. Only photosynthetic mode is there. Okay, without any chemical molecule, means they are not form the food of their own with the help of chemical molecules. They only prepare their food by using the sunlight. That's why only photosynthetic mode of nutrition here you will find. And heterotrophic nutrition means they depend on some other organism for their food, but here saprophytic or parasitic mode is not mentioned. Okay, so it is a major category that form the diverse metabolic activity. Fungi, example, just I told you that yeast, mushroom, mucor, penicillium, these are some of the examples. In this fungi there is no autotrophic mode of nutrition. See here, Monera are autotrophic, Protista are autotrophic, but in fungi you will not find autotrophic mode of nutrition because fungi are always heterotrophic. They cannot prepare their own food. Why? Because fungi are not green in color, they do not have any chlorophyll pigment, they do not use the sunlight, so they cannot prepare their own food. That's why we call them as the heterotrophic. And here if we see this heterotrophic nutrition, then what you will find that they are saprophytic as well as parasitic. Saprophytic means just we have seen that the organism which grows on dead and decaying matter, कुजलेल्या अन्नपदार्थावर जगणारे, that is called as saprophytic. And the parasitic means the organism which lives on or inside the body of the other organism, that we call as a saprophytic. So these fungi are exclusively heterotrophic. There is no autotrophic mode of nutrition you will find. They are exclusively what? The heterotrophic. And in heterotrophic again there are two types, saprophytic and the parasitic. If we see the planty kingdom, if you observe the planty kingdom, then what you will find that plants are only autotropics. Plants are only autotropics. Here you cannot find the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Here you will not observe heterotrophic mode of nutrition. In fungi you cannot find autotrophic. In planty you cannot find the heterotrophic because all plants are generally or suppose every plant is green in color, which has the chlorophyll pigment in their leaves, and by using this chlorophyll pigment and by using this sunlight, they can prepare their own food. That's why we call it as a photosynthetic. They do not chemosynthetic. They means they cannot prepare their own food with the help of use of some chemical. They can prepare their food with the help of only sunlight, and that's why they are called as photosynthetic. And if you focus on the last kingdom, that is the kingdom Animalia, then you will find here that in the kingdom Animalia there are only, you will find heterotrophic mode of nutrition. That is, in Animalia, you autotrophic mode of nutrition you cannot find, because no or not a single animal can prepare its own food, because they are not green in color, they do not have photosynthetic pigment, they cannot use the sunlight, and all the animals are the heterotrophic. Again, in the heterotrophic type, there are again two classes or two types, that is the holozoic and the saprophytic. All of you know the meaning of the saprophytic. Saprophytic means what? The dead and decaying matter वर जगणारे त्याला म्हणतो आपण saprophytic. But what is meant by holozoic? Holozoic means the animal which when intake their food, that food goes to different parts of their digestive system, and such a type of nutrition is called as holozoic mode of nutrition. For example, human being eat a food particle that goes into its different part or its different system, and that food get digested in the mouth, in the pharynx, in the stomach, intestine, and anus is the part through which that undigested food goes out. Such a system is found in some animals, that is called as a holozoic, and the best example is the human being. So heterotrophic nutrition is found and in the animals, and the examples are the holozoic and saprophytic. See here, we have given the examples of Monera, examples of Protista, examples of fungi, but you are well known about the plantae, that all the plants you are known around which are present around us. So all these plants are example of the plants. And animalia means all animals which are present around us are the animals. For example, in previous standard you have studied the kingdom Animalia, and what in Animalia you have studied? That you have studied this kingdom Animalia is divided into non-chordates and the chordates. Non-chordate include the Porifera to Hemichordata, and the chordata include different classes like Pisces, amphibian, reptile, birds, mammals. All you have studied, okay? So all these animals are included in this kingdom Animalia. If you in the first reading you will get only the some point of it, but after reading many times the same table or after observing many times the same table, you will get clear idea about this chart, which clearly explain how these 5 kingdoms are classified. Okay, so don't be confused, focus on the questions which are asked previously. See here, I am again going to tell you the name of that book, that is called as MTG publication, which has the previous year questions of the NEETs and NEET exam. And if you see the chapter biological classification, and if you observe the previous year question of this biological classification, then you will find that number of times the question is asked from this table, and simply how the nature of that question, that is, for example, holozoic mode of nutrition is the characteristics of, then you have to write kingdom Animalia. Or if there is written which kingdom is exclusively heterotrophic, then you have to mention the name of the kingdom Fungi. If there is a asked question that which kingdom is exclusively autotrophic, then you have to give the name of the kingdom Plantae. If the question is asked that which kingdom has the metabolic diversity or highest diversity, then you have to write the name Monera. So such a type of the questions will be asked on the NEET exam from this table. The first 2 points are very simple. First point, cell type, and the third point is very simple because it is related to each other. If cell type is prokaryotic, there is a nuclear membrane absent, and if the cell is a eukaryotic type, there is nuclear membrane present. So first and third points are interrelated to each other. We can easily understand it. Second point is the cell wall. That means you know that cell wall is absent in some protista and animalia, but present in Monera, fungi and plantae. So you have to keep in mind the their composition. And last point is the body organization. So to study this table, you should first consider one character cell type, and then you have to write all these characters sequentially. Then you have to consider second type character cell wall. Then you have to write all these characteristics of cell wall. Then you have to consider the nuclear membrane third characteristics. You have to write all the nuclear membrane characteristics related to this 5 kingdom. And the little bit confusion part is of the body organization. So if we focus on this last part more, then you will get clear idea about this chart. So first 3 points are very easy, no doubt, but the last part that is written as the body organization is very important because it has various diversity. I think all of you can get easily this chart. All of you can understand this part. It is very easy. If any problem is there, read carefully. I am sure that you will not get any problem because by full concentration you have to understand this table. From the next lecture, we will start the first kingdom, and that is the kingdom Monera. So here we have finished today's lecture, and from next lecture first kingdom will be started. Thank you.